Thanks for joining us on our streaming service for your First Alert Drought Forecast. I'm your First Alert meteorologist, Callie Zanandri, and taking a look at the latest drought monitor across Colorado, not a whole lot of change compared to last week. And you might be thinking, wait a minute, we just got all of that rain. Well, here's why. The weekly drought monitor has a data cutoff of Tuesday morning, so most of the moisture we just received isn't reflected in this update just yet. The big headline, Denver County has seen a decrease in abnormally dry conditions, which is some welcome news, but it's not all improvement. Over the northwest corner of the state, things have actually gotten a bit worse. Abnormally dry conditions are expanding in parts of Jackson, Moffett, and Rio Blanco counties, as well as Routt County. The good news, with all of the recent moisture, we are expecting big improvements in next week's drought forecast. So we'll continue to track those conditions for you. Joining me now is Colorado State University Extension Specialist John Mergel. John, across most of Colorado, Mother's Day signals really the green light for gardeners to start planting. What are some ways gardeners can have a beautiful yard, but also have a landscape that conserves water?
Sure. So there are a lot of ways to do that, and you can think about both choosing plants that need less water and then using watering strategies that conserve water. Probably the easiest thing to do is just to make sure that you're following your local water provider. For many of us, it's Denver Water. Make sure you're following their watering guidelines, watering in the cooler parts of the day, for example, and making sure that your sprinkler system's in good repair, using drip irrigation systems, if at all possible, to prevent water from spraying onto sidewalks, excess evaporation. Plant choice is maybe the next step, and as you're heading out to the nursery, really considering if the plant is well suited to be growing here in Colorado, where it is semi-arid, hot and dry often, is a great way to make sure that you are setting your garden up for success while conserving water. So choose those drought-tolerant plants.
So when choosing those plants, what plants do you recommend? What should people be looking for when they head to the nurseries?
Well, this is where I ask, how much time do you have? Because the list of plants that can grow well here in Colorado with minimal supplemental water is really pretty long. There are plants both that are native to Colorado and the western United States that in most cases do really well here, as well as plants from Central Asia, the Mediterranean, South Africa, and even Patagonia. So there's a huge plant palette that can be used really in any garden style. If you're not sure where to start, because, gosh, I've got this volume of plants, there are a number of programs that can help inform and narrow down that list. One that I like a lot is called Plant Select. Part of the reason why I like it is because CSU is involved with it. But this is a cooperative effort between Colorado State University, the Denver Botanic Gardens, and the local green industry, where they evaluate plants for both garden suitability, that is how pretty it is, how easy it is to take care of, and drought tolerance. So these are plants that are adapted to the high and dry conditions of the Front Range and really the western United States. So if you're not sure where to start, say start with Plant Select. You can always ask one of the helpful folks at your local garden center as well.
Great tips there before you head to the garden center. Kind of make a list and narrow it down. Now, are there any particular mulching techniques that help retain moisture better in Colorado's arid climate?
Absolutely. And the shorter answer is you should use mulch. There are lots of different types of mulch out there. The most common here are wood chip mulch, bark mulch, and then gravel mulch is becoming more common. What's important is that the mulch is deep enough in order to conserve water and suppress weeds, which are really the two things that we want to get out of our mulch the most. In order to do that, you want the mulch to be 4 inches deep, which seems like, wow, that's a lot of mulch. And it is a lot of mulch.
That's what I was going to say.
That's how it's getting its job done, is having that space. And that's been that's data driven. That's not just I don't own stock in the mulch company. It's 4 inches of mulch. The good news is, though, that you don't need to have that fabric or plastic weed barrier beneath it. If the mulch is 4 inches deep, it's going to prevent those weeds from growing and help keep the water in the ground. Rock mulch or gravel mulch is especially popular for drought-tolerant gardens. Number one, aesthetically, but number two, one reason it can be good, especially if you're trying to go as dry as possible. Maybe you're thinking, I'm not going to water my garden at all or very little. So that gravel mulch can actually help naturally occurring precipitation infiltrate the soil instead of having it run off down the street, but actually gets it down into the soil where the plant roots need it.
That's good. Some great tips there. Now, with drought concerns, how can gardeners be water wise and still maintain healthy plants? Because I know people, they want that green lawn, but we do need to conserve water.
Absolutely. So for existing plants, it's important only to water your plants when the plants need water. For a lawn, for example, you want to look, is the lawn footprinting? That is, if you walk across the lawn, do you see a trackway? That's an indication that your lawn is thirsty and you should water. Just because maybe your water provider says you can water 3 times a week or every other day doesn't mean that you should or that you have to. Just apply that water when the plants need it. Wilting is one sign, obviously, that a plant needs water, but for established perennials, it could just be weaker flowering or even some leaf browning or leaf scorch. Picking plants that do well with minimal water is another way. So as you're adding plants to the garden, make sure that you're thinking about drought tolerance and that resilience to weather extremes, which we know we have here in Denver all the time. So making those adjustments, I think, can really help.
Any other tips you have for people or things that you see mistakes made that, beginner gardeners might, stumble with?
Sure. I think one thing that I talk about with folks at the Extension office a fair amount is what it means to water deeply and infrequently. Because that's a recommendation you hear, but if you don't really define what infrequent means or deep means, you can say, well, I'm not exactly sure how to get that done. So depending on the plant, the idea behind deep and frequent watering is that you want to soak the soil that the plant's roots can exploit completely. So for a lawn, that might be 6 inches down in the soil. If you soak the soil under your lawn down 3 feet, most of that water is just going to go away. Trees, the majority of the roots are in the top 18 inches to 2 feet of soil, so that's where your deep watering is actually quite a bit deeper than it would be, say, for a lawn. Many drought-tolerant or xeriscape or Colorado-scape plants have deep roots. Those also would appreciate really long, slow soaks, particularly if you've got clay soil, in order to, again, soak a wide area so that plant can then exploit that wide area for all that water. If you just water a little bit every day, it's almost like training a pet that here's your water bowl and I'm going to fill it up for you every day. And that works great until you're on vacation or something goes wrong with the irrigation system. And then that plant doesn't have the resilience or the wherewithal to stand up to those drought conditions.
Those are all great tips. Thank you so much, John, for joining us today. We appreciate it.